We have this weekend. I see many hands. Go. It is called Memorial Day. How many of you are planning a picnic with your family? Just raise your hands. Excellent. How many of you are planning on being in a parade or seeing a parade? Raise your hand. All right. Also excellent. How many of you are actually going to be in the parade? What are you doing when you get to your parade? You're marching with which group, which organization? All right, what about you? Same. Anybody else? Go. All right, excellent. Memorial Day is barbecues. Memorial Day is picnics. Memorial Day is parades. But there's a reason you have off of school on Monday. And that's why I'm here, that's why I'm in uniform, and that's what I'm going to teach you today. A couple of things I want you to know. This is the shield for the United States Army, which I was in for 32 years. This is the shield for the Military Police Corps, which I also did throughout those 32 years. And today we are learning about Memorial Day. Let's continue. What are we going to learn about? The history and traditions of Memorial Day. Every holiday has a history. And there's certain things we're supposed to do on certain holidays. You know already what to do on Thanksgiving. You know what to do at Easter. You may not know what to do at Memorial Day. We're going to take a look at the wars America has fought over the last 100 years. We're going to go over what to say to a soldier, because you're going to see a lot of us this weekend marching in parades. You're going to learn a little bit about the armed services, what's called reserves. I'm going to teach you how to read this uniform. This uniform tells you exactly what I've done, where I've been, how long I've been. And I've got some pictures, questions, and other things. So, you have a question, you raise your hand. What I'm going to ask you to do is to please wait on your questions, because I may answer some questions as we go along. So far, you guys are outstanding. I love seeing what I'm seeing. Let's go. Who here can tell me the difference between Veterans Day, when we have the veterans come in and speak to you, and Memorial Day, which is why you have off right up here up front?
I think Memorial Day is for Memorial Day, and Veterans Day is for Army Rangers.
All right, you are 9/10 of the way there. You go, help them out.
It's like, I think it's Memorial Day, but like there's something that has to do.
All right, we're getting real close to it. Go ahead.
It's about celebrating the living and the dead veterans that have served in the wars.
We're going to have to take a reverse course on that one. One last one, way back, go.
Memorial Day honor all veterans, and Veterans Day honor veterans of service.
I like what I'm hearing. You guys are awesome. So, we are clear. Now, Memorial Day is dedicated to those service members who have died fighting in one of the wars for America. This is not my holiday. I am off. But I have lost many friends due to war. And the thing about Memorial Day is that this is the time for the country to say, we remember you, especially to their families who will not have their service member at a barbecue, at a party. There's a reason why we have this holiday. And it's always celebrated on the last Monday in May. Veterans Day, well, that's my holiday. That's for veterans. I've been in 2 wars. So that is on November 11th. You got to meet some veterans when we had them here. You guys are doing great. Continuing. Everything has a history. How many of you who here can tell me what was America's Civil War about? Why did we have a Civil War? I haven't told on you. Go.
I think that the Civil War was a fight in the USA between the North and the South.
It was a fight between the North and the South. Why were the North and the South fighting? Go ahead.
Because the North didn't believe that people should have slaves, but the South still wanted to have slaves to do their work.
You are absolutely correct. This was the war to end slavery in the United States. It lasted 4 years. Every casualty during that war was an American, fighting both for North and South. The gentleman you see up there is General John Logan. And during the Civil War, He led what was called a brigade of soldiers, and they fought many battles, and he lost many soldiers. And at the end of that war, 1868, he went to visit his soldiers' graves. And he took flowers with him. And he placed the flowers on the graves. He made sure the graves were nice and neat. They weren't getting run down. And that started a tradition. And across the country, once they heard what this general did, many people started using the end of May to go and clean up the grave sites of the fallen soldiers. So that is how this whole thing started. But from 1868 until 1971, it was just an idea. Finally, our Congress said in 1971, let's make this a national holiday. We'll make it on the last Monday in May. Everything has a history. So that is the history of Memorial Day, how it came to be, and why it is. Now, there are certain traditions that should happen during Memorial Day. Now, a lot of Americans just don't know they should happen. First of all, how many of you might have an American flag that is on your property, your home, something of that nature? All right, excellent. What's supposed to happen on Monday is that American flag is supposed to be flown halfway up. And then at noon, you raise it all the way to the top for the rest of the day. On Monday at 3 o'clock, you're supposed to take a moment and just try to reflect, just try to remember that there are many families who do not have a service member present. They died fighting in a war. And so this is our way of showing a little respect to these families. This is our way of showing that they are not forgotten. They are in pain, they're a little bit of suffering. This day is not a great reminder for them. They're remembering those they loved who fought for this country and died. Another thing that's supposed to happen is that you're supposed to take flowers and you're supposed to put them on a soldier's grave. And that was inspired by John Dupree, a World War I surgeon who wrote a poem called In Flanders Fields. If you ever have a chance, please read this poem. I think it will move you a little bit. It'll touch you. So these are some of the traditions that are supposed to happen during Memorial Day. Raise your hand. Who here can tell me where this is and what this is? Right there. Excellent. Do you know where it is? You're right. Absolutely correct. The tomb of the unknown soldier. What I have written above is actually what's written on the tomb of the unknown soldier. Here rests, in honor and glory, an American soldier known but to God. I know you guys love your video games, and I know a lot of you love the war video games. Here's one thing the war video games do not teach you. The power of a bomb or a bullet to totally disfigure a human body to the point where you can't even recognize them. You don't know who is dead laying before you. You do know that they're American soldiers based on their equipment. But we have the tomb of the unknown soldier because we have soldiers we can't identify. Their families have no idea what happened to them. We made the tomb of the unknown so that we will always remember that even though we don't know who this person is, we will honor them and recognize them for fighting for our country and giving their life for our country. So that is the Tomb of the Unknowns. The Tomb of the Unknowns, we have a lot of national cemeteries, but this one's the most famous. And at the Tomb of the Unknowns, it has the remains of 4 service members, but that's kind of a lie. Right now, it's only 3 service members. Through science, through DNA, we were able to identify one of the soldiers back to their family. And we were able to return those remains back to their family. So currently, it only has 3 unknown service members. What's supposed to happen on Monday? The President of the United States is supposed to come to the Tomb of the Unknowns and lay a wreath of flowers at the tomb. By the way, you can do the same thing. The Tomb of the Unknowns, they have a website. You go on the website, you say, my organization, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever you want, would like to lay a would like to lay a wreath of flowers at the Tomb of the Unknowns. And they'll set it up for you. They will set it up for you, and you can participate in this very special ceremony. And that's the part where there are special ceremonies all year long. All right, what's going to happen this weekend? You're going to hear a very special bugle call called taps. Long before the radio, long before the internet, long before communications, when an army wanted to move, they had a bugler who would blow a bugle call, and we knew what to do. You had a bugle call to wake up in the morning. That was called reveille. We had a bugle call to move right, to move left, to move forward. And we have a bugle call to go to bed at night, and that is called taps. Now, during the Civil War, this gentleman up here, General Butterworth, wanted to create a special bugle call to put his soldier to bed at night. And after he wrote it, it's 29 notes. After he wrote it, he played it at one of the funerals of one of his soldiers. Since then, it has become the bugle call at all soldiers' funerals. So, I have some words up here. By the way, the word taps means turn off the beer. Turn off the beer. Soldiers used to do a lot of drinking back in the day, and when they wanted to go to sleep at night, they would play taps to make sure the soldiers knew not to drink the beer. So that's actually what the word means. Turn off the beer. But these words, there is no official words to taps. These are the words that someone wrote because they thought they were fitting for the word. You're not supposed to say them. You may think about it in your head when you hear it, but you're not supposed to say it. And it goes like this. The day is done, gone the sun. From the lake, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest. God is nigh, which means near. Now, you may hear taps this weekend, and there's certain things that we're supposed to do. I'm going to be in uniform most of the weekend. When I hear taps, I have to salute. You all are civilians. You're not in the military. When you hear taps, you're supposed to face the music, place your right hand over your heart, and remain still and silent. I'm going to play taps for you just for a moment. I'm asking you please all to stand. If you have a hood on and have a baseball hat, it should be on. Please. Please take your seats. You guys did fantastic. All right. So, Memorial Day is not your typical holiday where it's supposed to be joyous. It's sad. It's solemn. And service members, people who have been in the military, people who have seen their friends die, we do want you to enjoy your Memorial Day, but please keep in mind what it's about. You're going to see these two flags this weekend, probably hanging on somebody's window, maybe hanging from their car. If you see a flag with a blue star, That means that a loved one is currently in the armed service and serving in war. When I was gone for my 2 wars, this flag flew at my house. The Gold Star, that is for a family who has lost somebody, a brother, a sister, a child, a father, a mother. So if you see it, that Gold Star flag, it has a very special meaning. Please show the house and the people there in some respect. You have a question on this?
So like, can you name both? Like, let's say like you have like your grandpa and like.
The answer is yes, you could. Yes, you would be able to name both. So, these flags will be flown on Memorial Day. You will probably see them. All right. I've been talking about soldiers who have died in America's wars. But I got to get this picture into your head. How many like the New York Giants? Got it. That giant stadium, it fits about 80,000 people. Remember what 80,000 people look like. Yankee Stadium, 58,200. Remember what that looks like. Fenway Park, smaller, 38,800. Remember what that looks like. Now, Aces at Chase. If you take all of 6th, 7th, 8th grade and all of our staff, we're looking at about 700. Remember what these pictures look like, the number of people. America has had several wars in the last 100 years. World War I, 116,000 dead. Take Yankee Stadium, fill it up 2 times, kill everybody in it. World War II, 407,000. Take Giant Stadium, fill that up 5 times, kill everybody in it. Korean War, Vietnam War, Persian Gulf War, that was my first war. Afghanistan War, which just ended very recently. And Iraq War, which was my second war. Now we're talking, we got a visual of how many people we're talking about across this country. You're going to see a lot of soldiers and sailors, airmen, Marines this weekend. I know you guys got questions and we want to answer them. I know we're going over this probably on Veterans Day as well. When you see one of us, the question not to ask is, did you kill anybody? Did you see anybody get shot? Did you get hurt? That puts me in a corner. I don't want to share those memories. But if you say to me, what was your worst experience? That allows me to share with you what I wish. What was your best experience? That allows me to share what I wish. Or you can always say, thank you for your service. So these are ways that you can talk to soldiers during this weekend when you see them. This holiday is tough for me. This is a friend of mine, Chris Dillon. Firefighter from New York. Went to war with me in Iraq. We had a bad firefight. Firefighter was bad. And he did not come back. I had breakfast with him that morning. And he did not come back. I had to take his remains home to his family and tell them, not coming back. He was a nice guy. He loved animals. He loved feeding the stray dogs. He would always take food out of the mess hall and give it to them. And on April 4th, 2005, no more. So I know his family will not be enjoying this weekend. They're going to be remembering him. So on Monday at 3 o'clock, for that moment of silence, if you want to put Chris Still's name in your head, that would be very nice. I got one more thing I want to share with you. This is going to take a couple of moments. We all have an April 4th, a bad day. There was a song that was made by a country group called Big and Rich that kind of explained what service members are feeling, especially on a day like this weekend. So, we're going to listen to that song. And this was not my war. This was from the Vietnam War, about 10 years before I joined the service, 15 years before I joined the service. Listen to a story, and then listen to the words of the song. Why is it not talking? Which one? Oh, that took that one. Thank you. All right, I gotta turn it up here.
For saving so many lives in the midst of battle that day. Our friend Christopherson, on November 8, 1965, the 173rd Airborne Brigade on Operation Hump, War Zone B in Vietnam, were ambushed by over 1,200 BC. 48 American soldiers lost their lives. Severely wounded and risking his own life, Lawrence Joel, the medic, was the first living black man since the Spanish-American War to receive the United States Medal of Honor for saving so many lives in the midst of battle that day. Our friend Miles Harris, retired 25 years in the United States Army, the guy who gave Big Kenny his top hat, was one of the wounded who lived. This song is his story. Caught in the action of kill and be killed. Greater love hath no man than to lay down his life for his brother.
Air Force, Marines, and Space Force. These are the armed services of the United States. And each one has a particular job that they do. I'm Army. My job is to take and hold land, and sometimes we have to do peacekeeping operations, and that means keeping two sides from killing each other, and we're in the middle. The Navy, their job is to keep the Army going. They gotta you can't get tanks on a plane. You can't get all the ammunition on a plane. It's gotta come to us by sea. And that's what they do. They keep us working. Plus, they have the ability to do what's called project force from the sea. We have these aircraft carriers and battleships, and we can park them in front of any country, and we can say, don't mess with us or you're gonna feel our might. The Marines, they have a special job. They have to go from sea and take land. And that's a difficult type of operation. They also do peacekeeping, nation building. The Air Force, well, they make sure nobody's bombing us while we're doing our job. Plus, they have the ability to also project force, but they do it from the air. And we added a new one called Space Force. And that's to make sure that nobody's using space, outer space, for bad reasons. So, those are the 4 armed services. Quickly, I want to tell you about what's called Reserves and National Guard. Now, there were times when I was full-time active duty Army. I wore the uniform every day. There are other times I was a part-time soldier, where I only wore the uniform on weekends and during the summer. And that's what the Reserves and the National Guard. If Connecticut ever has a national emergency, Governor Rowland has his own private army called the National Guard. He can call out that army to help the citizens. The reserves, we get called up sometimes to fight a war. So those are called the Reserve and the National Guard. They're part-time soldiers, but they face all the same real dangers as a regular soldier. Now, I get this question often. What do we do when we're not at war? We train to fight like we're going to war. So, when I wasn't at war, I was training to go to war. And what kind of training do we do? Well, you're going to see that in this video. This video is called the Best Warrior Competition. Who is the best in the Army at fighting a war? Not really doing it, we're just practicing, but it's a contest. Way back when, can't even read this, 1987, I won this contest. Woohoo! So, it was a long time ago. And you're going to see what this contest is. So, let's take a look at this. Read, because there's stuff there. Take this, pass it on. Stay physically fit. Push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run.
Every day?
That sit-up didn't count. Don't do the right, don't have it. Yeah, that's a snowstorm. We're running in a snowstorm. War doesn't happen just in good weather. To be able to do this, he just did 2 miles in 12 minutes. Going through the snow. I use a landline, I use radio, throwing grenades. Again, all of this is like 30 degrees. First aid is a big thing of what we do. Learning how to defend ourselves. Yeah, males versus females, that happens. UDS, Sons of Oregon, many parts of the world, so to learn how to read and math and use numbers to get from A to B. We get to shoot a lot of different weapons. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I will tell you this, knowing when to pull a trigger and when not to pull a trigger is super important. Putting on a gas mask. The enemy uses gas on us. You saw us learn how to fight with the gas mask on. You just don't say time out and done. Mile road march with 55 pounds on your back. You are not told if you're in first, second, third, or fourth place. You just keep going until you finish the course. You'll see, we started out early morning, start. So this was in 2016, my last year in the Army. This was a contest that I ran in Washington. You'll see they're going to give each other some high fives. It's a contest, but we're brothers and sisters. We root for each other. Inspect their uniforms and we ask them questions to make sure they know their Army knowledge. They have to report to us. So that was called the Best Warrior Competition. When I did it, it was actually called Soldier of the Year, so a little bit different. All right, I'm going to explain real quick the difference in ranks in the military. There are three types of ranks. They're called officers, non-commissioned officers, and enlisted. When you first join the military, without a college education, you're enlisted. You're the one doing all the work, getting the job done. You stay in the Army, you decide you want to make rank. You can be promoted if you pass school. Every rank, you have to get promoted. You have to go to a school and you have to graduate. I'm letting you know that when you get older, your education never ends. When we work as teachers, we have to go to schools again. In the Army, you still have to go to schools. And if you want to get promoted, you get the rank. Now, what a non-commissioned officer does is, I take my orders from officers. They have a letter from the President of the United States. They're commissioned by the President to be able to issue orders. They decide what gets done. They tell me, Sergeant Goldstein, we need to take that hill. I'm like, okay, sir, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do this, 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 and this. I'm going to need these people, and we're going to take that out. Officers decide what gets done, non-commissioned officers get it done, and enlisted actually go ahead and do it. So, what does that look like? If you graduate from college and you join the Army, you start out as that gold bar up there. It's called a butter bar, a second lieutenant. You do your job well, you keep your nose clean, you get promoted, first lieutenant, captain. You see how many people that they are in charge of underneath. One thing that's missing there is there's no 5-star general because it doesn't exist. It's an honorary title. If you ever heard that somebody was a 5-star general, that's because that they had retired out of the service and they had such a great service record that they gave them a 5th star. This is my career. I joined the Army in 1984. I had no rank. I became a private first class, specialist. That's enlisted. Then I became a non-commissioned officer in 1987. I was in charge of 5 people. Got promoted again in 1990. I got put in charge of 9 people. E7 platoon sergeant in charge of 44 people. First sergeant in charge of 130 people. And finally, when I was a command sergeant major, some of the units I commanded were over 1,000 people. So you are in charge of a lot of people. And you are responsible for their lives. Quick question, go.
You said 1,000, is that 300 to 1,000,000?
Correct, depending on the level that you get promoted to. So, my first assignment as a command sergeant major, I had 200 people. My second assignment as a command sergeant major, I had over 600. My last one, I had over 1,000. Does that make sense now? Good stuff, good stuff. So, again, I had to go to school and graduate to keep getting promoted, to going up. Let's talk about this uniform for a minute. This is the Army Class A uniform. This is not a uniform I would wear. It's only for special occasions. Memorial Day is a special occasion. I'm now going to teach you how to read this uniform. Look sharp. These are called hash marks. 1 stripe for every 3 years of service. I got 10. I did 32 years. These are called your overseas service bars. How many months you've been in a war zone? They are 6 months each. I have 2. I'm just shy of 18 months. I will never see 18 months, but since I did over 12 months, I get to wear 2. This is my rank. The rank of a command sergeant major. Soldiers will wear their right here. Officers will wear it up here. On my left side, these are the medals that I have won as an individual. And if you see that it's got metal on the inside, that means I've won it more than once. The right side is called your combat side. This is medal won during combat. This is the unit I was in during combat. So, by looking at this uniform, wow, he's been in over 30 years, he spent over a year in combat, he's won these medals, I know what these medals mean, and he got a special medal for when he was in combat. He served with this unit when he was in combat. It's a resume, it tells you exactly what it is. The medals go from the highest, the Medal of Honor, all the way down here to what's called the Kuwait Liberation Medal. And like I said, you can win them more than once. Now, I'm not wearing this uniform when I'm doing my job. I'm wearing one of these uniforms. So you'll see on here, this has my old rank, the rank of a Master Sergeant. Is this flag correct?